Here's a number that doesn't make sense until you sit with it. The heaviest domestic dog ever officially recorded was an English Mastiff that hit about 343 pounds. And that dog was a couch-bound giant humans spent generations building. In the actual wild, the biggest dog on earth, the grey wolf, almost never crosses 130 pounds. One freak Yukon wolf once tipped a scale at 175. That's the ceiling. Now hold that next to a Siberian tiger, 600 pounds of muscle that can drag a full-grown buffalo through mud like it's a gym bag. Cats gave us a heavyweight that could bench press a wolf. Dogs never produced a single animal in that weight class. Not one. Not ever in the wild. And that should bother you, because on paper, cats and dogs are the same machine. Same split from a shared meat-eating ancestor, same starter kit of teeth, claws, and killing instinct. Two branches, one problem. How to be the deadliest thing in your ecosystem. And only one branch was ever allowed to get huge. For a long time, the assumed answer was boring. It just hasn't happened yet. Give evolution enough dice rolls and a giant dog would eventually show up. Then researchers actually ran the numbers, and the boring answer fell apart. What they found wasn't an empty slot waiting to be filled. It was a wall. The same limit dogs slammed into over and over, across tens of millions of years, on multiple continents, and never got past. To see the wall, you have to look at how each family makes its living, because they are running two completely different businesses. A cat is a closer. Everything about it is built for one silent, explosive transaction. Creep close, detonate, and end the fight in seconds before the prey even understands it's being hunted. A dog is a debt collector. It doesn't end anything in one move. It follows. Wolves, tolls, African wild dogs. They pick a target and simply refuse to stop, jogging it into the ground over miles until the animal's own body quits on it. One family kills with a moment, the other kills with time. You already know which body each business demands, because your own species runs the same split. Look at elite sport. The men who win mountain stages of the Tour de France are wispy, hollow-cheeked, built like coat hangers, because every gram you carry uphill is a gram working against you. Now look at an Olympic sprinter or a weightlifter, slabs of muscle, explosive, enormous by comparison, and useless over distance. Power and endurance want opposite bodies. Evolution didn't get a vote on this. Physics wrote the rule long before either of us showed up. So why can't a dog just pick the cat's business and cash in on being big? The claws. A tiger's claws are retractable. Sheathed, protected, kept surgical until the half second they're needed, then hooked into a victim to lock it in place while the jaws finish the job. A dog's claws are never put away. They're out permanently, ground flat and dull by a lifetime of running, closer to a sprinter's spikes than to knives. A dog literally cannot pin a big struggling animal the way a cat can. It was never issued the hardware for the ambush, which means the chase isn't a preference for dogs. It's the only door left open to them. And here's where the wall turns solid. In an ambush, size is pure profit. More mass, more crushing force, a bigger animal you can safely take on. In a chase, size is a tax you pay every single mile. A heavier body overheats sooner, drains its fuel faster, and blows up before a lean one even feels tired. So the two families lived under opposite rules. Every time a cat got bigger, the ambush rewarded it. Every time a dog got bigger, the chase punished it. Cats were pulled up, dogs were pinned down. That explains the pattern. it still doesn't explain why nothing ever leaked through. Why, out of every dog species that has ever existed, not one broke the ceiling, except one nearly did. Roll back about 9 million years to North America. There was a true canid called Epicyon haydeni from an extinct branch nicknamed the bone-crushing dogs. Forget everything the word dog makes you picture. This thing averaged well over 200 pounds, and the largest individuals are estimated near 375. Heavier than a grizzly, with a skull so massive and a jaw so overbuilt that early fossil hunters mistook it for a bear. Its bite could crack the leg bone of a prehistoric horse to get at the marrow inside. For a few million years, Epicyon was arguably the top land predator on the continent, going toe-to-toe with anything the cat family had built. The giant dog wasn't a hypothetical. It was real, and it ran North America. And then it and its entire lineage vanished. So what killed the one dog that broke the size rule? Not a bigger, meaner rival. The leading explanation is quieter and far more humiliating than a lost fight. It got out-earned. As true cats spread across the continent, they were simply better at turning a body into calories. One clean pounce costs almost nothing. A drawn-out chase, especially for an animal now hauling 250 plus pounds it had to keep fed, burns a fortune. Worse, Epicyon had gotten enormous without ever fixing the original flaw. It still had the blunt claws and the wrong shoulders. It had scaled a chase and crush body all the way up to bear size, and still couldn't ambush like a cat. Tellingly, even Epicyon seems to have leaned on group hunting and short bursts of speed rather than one solitary killing strike. It never fully escaped being a big dog doing a cat's job badly. In a world with only so much large prey to go around, the cats just ate more reliably, for less effort. Stretch that gap across enough generations, and it's not a battle. It's a slow eviction. The giant dog didn't get beaten. It got priced out. It's almost poetic. The single time a dog rivaled a big cat's size, it collapsed for the exact reason the two families split in the first place. Bulk, without the right tools, isn't a weapon. It's just a larger appetite you can't afford. Meanwhile, the ancestors of modern wolves were doing something that looks pathetic next to a 375-pound bone crusher. They stayed small, they stayed together, and they leaned all the way into the one edge a medium predator has that a lone giant never will. Arithmetic. A single 100-pound wolf can't drop a bull elk. 8 of them can, and none of the 8 has to carry the weight, the joint strain, or the food bill of being a monster. The pack became the size. Cooperation did for the wolf exactly what 600 pounds of muscle does for a tiger. It just spread the job across bodies instead of stacking it into one. You can watch the same logic prove itself on the cat side, in the one obvious exception, lions. Lions are the only big cat that routinely hunts in groups. And the pride does for a lion roughly what the pack does for a wolf, which is why a lion can lean on the group instead of relying on a single solitary ambush. Strip the group away and hand a cat nothing but solo hunting, and biology funnels it straight toward what tigers, leopards, and jaguars already are. Heavy, silent, patient, one-strike killers. Strip the ambush away and hand a dog nothing but the long chase, and biology funnels it straight toward wolves and wild dogs. Lean, tireless, and social. 2 families, same question, 2 permanent answers. And once a lineage commits that hard, there's no reverse gear. A body tuned for a 30-mile pursuit cannot sprout retractable claws in a few thousand generations. There's one last trap in this story, and it catches nearly everyone. Hyenas. Spotted hyenas run in coordinated packs, chase prey to exhaustion over long distances, and look like a lanky, over-muscled dog. If any living animal seems to be the missing giant dog, it's the hyena. But a hyena isn't a dog. Genetically, it sits on the cat side of the carnivore family tree, closer to cats, mongooses, and civets than to any wolf. The one creature that looks most like a huge pack hunting dog has been standing in the cat's half of the family the entire time. Even it isn't a loophole. And every giant dog you can actually point to, the Great Dane, the Irish Wolfhound, the English Mastiff, exists for one reason: us. None of them were forged by millions of years of ecological pressure. They're a few thousand years of humans deliberately cranking the size dial on an animal that evolution had already filed under keep it small. Drop a Great Dane back into the wild, and it has none of it. Not a wolf's engine for the long chase. Not a tiger's tools for the quick kill. It's our shortcut, wearing the shape of something nature specifically refused to build. So the question was never, why are there no big dogs? There was one. It ruled a continent for millions of years. And it didn't fall to a stronger enemy. It fell to a smaller, sharper clawed animal that simply did the same job cheaper. And the family that never chased size at all is still out there tonight, still running something into the ground 1 mile at a time, exactly as it has for millions of years. Sometimes the survivor isn't the one that got biggest. It's the one that understood what it was actually built to do, and never once stopped doing it. If you made it this far, you're exactly the kind of person this channel is built for. So do me one quick favor. Tap that like button. It's the single fastest way to tell YouTube this story was worth telling. And it helps push it in front of the next curious person who's asking the same questions you are. Then drop a comment, because I actually read them. Tell me what caught you off guard. Was it Epicyon ruling a whole continent? The hyena hiding on the cat side of the family tree? Or the fact that a Great Dane is basically a human invention? And here's the important one. Tell me what the next video should be about. No hints from me. Whatever question has been living in the back of your head, whatever you've always wanted someone to actually explain, put it in the comments. I'm reading. And there's a real chance the next video comes straight out of what you write down there. And if this is the kind of thing you want more of, hit that subscribe button. Remember what this whole video was actually about. The ones that survive aren't the biggest or the strongest. They're the ones that stick together. So stick with me. Subscribe. And let's keep hunting these questions down, one video at a time for a long, long time to come.